right? To learn from what? To learn from who? As a young man, Makai, right? Sincere, you're his elder in this community, right? What is his job as a young man? To do God's laws and commandments. Because Makai, who are your role leaders today? Lil Uzi Vert, Pop Smoke, Young Dolph. These are your role models, right? All these drill rappers that are getting killed left and right. Yo, he just got shot in Chicago. Yo, he just got shot in Memphis. Yo, he just got shot. Where did Takeoff get shot? He got killed in Houston over a dice game.
Rapper Takeoff from the popular group Migos has been shot and killed in Houston. Amanda Salas joins us now with the very latest on that.
That's
Amanda.
right. Tony, such a horrible way to wake up after Halloween last night. Just a few minutes ago, reps for the group Migos confirmed that the rapper known as Takeoff has died following this morning's shooting in Houston.
Don't let that bro in, cause she too messy. Who the them bro boys with? Get out my section. Get out my section.
The rapper's real name is Kirsnick Khari Ball. He's the youngest of the Atlanta-based trio, which first came together in 2008. TMZ says a second member of the group, Quavo, Ball's uncle, was also present during the shooting but was not hurt. Houston police say that the shooting happened during a private party at a bowling alley. As for what led up to the gunfire, TMZ is reporting that Takeoff was playing dice and a fight broke out.
But those are the role models that men your age and younger are looking at.
Set up role models.
Those are role models that have been set up for what? Our young men. And that's why these young men are terrorizing our communities. Right. That's why these young men are terrorizing those that live in their own communities. They're not going to go to Upper Manhattan. They're not going to go to the established areas, right? Or the high-income areas and go terrorize them. They're going to stay in their own communities with people that are struggling just like them and terrorize them. Make their own people afraid to walk on the street at night. This isn't that bad of an area, right? Are you comfortable walking in downtown Mount Vernon at night by yourself? You are. Are you?
Yeah, I'm been here all my life.
You've been here all your life. Are you comfortable walking in most places in New York by yourself, where most of our people are at?
I'm comfortable because I have faith and I don't worry about anything.
Are most people comfortable? No. Most people are not comfortable. Why? Because you have our young men terrorizing our communities. And why? Because they're following role models that they shouldn't be. What music do you listen to? Keep it a buck.
I don't really listen to drill though. I just listen to rap.
We listen to rap. What is rap music pushing? Be honest.
Sex, murder, drugs.
Money, power, respect. That's what they push, right? Money, power, respect, women, drugs. That's what the rap music in our communities is pushing. Meek Mill did an interview a few months ago. He said, yo, my record label pays me more when I do tracks that are more about violence, that are more about drugs, that are more about women. He said, but I'm trying to be on my conscience-ish. He said that. But he makes more money when his record label, what? Hears that he's making violent music. We hear that he's making music about drugs. Music basically that's more ignorant. Music that people such as yourself are digesting and hearing every single day. And it has an effect on our communities. Look at the gang wars that's going on in the Bronx. Look at the gang wars that's going on in Brooklyn. Look at the gang wars that's going on in Harlem. All of our communities, right? The rap music is a big part of that gang epidemic. Come on.
What's your name, sir? Makai. They had a secret meeting some years ago where they planned the destruction of our people by putting in gangster rap and the murder of our people and the music that we're getting right now. We used to have love songs, we used to have knowledge hip-hop, but now it's nothing but wickedness in our music. And then when you wake up every morning and listen to the radio, that's what's embedded into your mind. When you first wake up till you go to sleep. That's why a lot of our people are doing the things as he's saying.
Now, Sincere made a great point. He said we used to have knowledge music. We used to have KRS-One. We used to have Rakim. You know who KRS-One is? Why would you? But I'm sure you know who Drake is. You know who Lil Wayne is. You know who Jay-Z is. You know who Young Dolph is. You know who Pop Smoke is. You know who Travis Scott is. Right? All these people that are pushing what? None of them are pushing conscious messages. None of them are pushing conscious messages. None of them are pushing things that are gonna uplift our communities. None of them. They may come on Thanksgiving, give out maybe 30, 40 turkeys, give out some stuffing, some yams maybe. But what else are they doing for our communities? Nothing. And like Sincere said, our enemies have meetings. They have secret meetings, whether you believe it or not. They put it in your movies. They put it in your TV shows. Right. Our people are just not paying attention. Right. They have secret meetings to continue and to plot the destruction of so-called blacks and Hispanics.
That's right. Like I tell my son, there's people planning. There's people planning for your life.
20.
Excuse me, don't mind. There's people out here planning for your life and you don't even know it.
The white man, our so-called enemies, plan 100 years ahead, and we're thinking 5 minutes ahead. We're thinking 2 minutes ahead. They're thinking 200 years ahead. And the Bible talks about that. Give me that.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 51, verse 20.
Come on.
Thy sons have fainted.
Thy what?
Thy sons have fainted.
Fainted. Says thy sons have fainted. When you faint, you lose consciousness, right? When you faint, you lose consciousness, you lose awareness. That's what's happening to our young sons now. Makai is 16 years old. He didn't know that Christ was black. That's why our sons have fainted.
Right.
Makai thought Christ had no color, when Christ's color was Makai's color.
Right, right.
That's what it means when it says thy sons have fainted. Makai doesn't know about the history of his forefathers. Do you know about the history concerning David, concerning Solomon, concerning Samuel, concerning Saul? Do you know that history? No. Do you even know the history of slavery? Do you know the history of the civil rights movement? Kind of. And what are they doing? Critical race theory. They started it in Florida already. They're taking it out of the educational system.
No CRT.
There's a fight now about CRT, critical race theory.
No justice. No peace.
CRT argues that racism is endemic to America, that every American institution exists to uphold white supremacy.
White human beings thought there's a world here and we own it.
Rutgers professor Brittany Cooper promotes CRT.
Look, I think that white people are committed to being villains in the aggregate, right? They actually aren't mad because critical race theory is just a theory. They are mad because critical race theory is an accurate account of American history.
These parents call CRT racial propaganda and don't want it taught in schools.
I will ban critical race theory.
Glenn Youngkin was elected governor of Virginia after opposing it.
In 20 years, you will ask a 16-year-old his age, and they will say slavery. What are you talking about? That never happened. Slavery, what are you talking about? That never existed. But the Holocaust, they're damn sure gonna know about that.
Right.
The 6 million that Jews that so-called died, they're gonna know about that.
Right.
But slavery, the sub-Saharan slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, the Middle Passage, those are becoming things of the past.
No.
Those are becoming things of the past, and they're getting faded away. In a few years, in a few decades, they're not going to be here anymore. It's going to be X'd out of history. And it's going to be reflected in our communities as it is already.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
Read that again.
Thy sons have fainted.
Thy sons have fainted. They fainted from what? Our sons have fainted from what? They fainted from consciousness. That's why you see them on the streets shooting down their own brothers that look like them. But when they see a white man, what? No, they shape up. They get it together. But when they see another black man, you look at this nigga over here. This nigga trying to come up off me. This nigga trying to come up on me. Yo, man, I want his sneakers. Yo, I want his car. Yo, I want his woman. And then he's willing to kill people for that. And have people be collateral damage. You know, in the Bronx a few summers ago, somebody in a gang did a drive-by, and one of the bullets went through the carriage, and the mother was pushing her child right above her child's head. In a gang war in the Bronx between the OGs and the YGs, one of the gang members used a 5-year-old and her 3-year-old brother as a shield against a rival gang member when he was trying to shoot him. This is the reflection of our sons being fainted. Of our sons fainting from what? Their consciousness, their history, their traditions, their culture. All they think now is what? I'm black, I'm African American, I'm a nigga, and so are you. And I'm gonna treat you as such. That's what our young men move, that's how they move now, right? These young men out here are ruthless. They will shoot you, kill you, and they keep it moving.
Right.
Why? Because they don't have God's laws in their consciousness. Read.
Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets.
They lie at the head of all the streets. What's the head of the streets? The street corners. All the street corners you see them on the corners, you see them at the drugs, by the corner stores. What are they doing? They're selling drugs. They're doing drugs. They're hollering at women. That's all our young men do nowadays. That's what they do. They lie at the head of the streets, terrorizing the communities, making people afraid to walk in their own communities in broad daylight at times.
Right.
When you go to Chicago, when you go to O Block in Chicago, when you go to South Philly, those are areas that are dangerous, that have drive-bys, that have killings in broad daylight.
That's right.
You're not gonna see that in white communities. You're not gonna see that in high-income communities. In communities where there's blacks and Hispanics, you will see killings in broad daylight, and it will be normal. You understand, Makai? Read.
They lie at the head of all the streets.
Come on.
As a wild bull in a net.
As a what?
As a wild bull in a net.
As a wild bull in a net. Have you ever seen someone try to control a bull? It's impossible to control a bull. Why? Because they're full of rage. They're full of anger, pent-up rage, pent-up frustration. And that's what these young men are filled with. Because they don't know who they are. They didn't have a father to raise them in their household. They were raised by a mother that treated them like they were nothing. They're full of rage. They're full of anger. And what do? They unleash that on the streets.
Right.
And now your daughter, your son, your mother is now a collateral damage. Is now a bystander because of the pent-up rage and frustration that they have.
Bring it out.
Read.
As a wild bull in a net.
Come on.
They are full of fury of the Lord.
They're full of what?
Full of fury of the Lord.
They're full of fury of the Lord. What is the fury of the Lord? That is the curses that God has put upon blacks and Hispanics for not keeping his law. That's why you see these young men out here, angry, always, emotional, effeminate actually.
Right.
You step on one of their shoes, it's a shootout. You look at them the wrong way, it's a shootout. You bump into them accidentally, it's a shootout. Why? Because they're full of the fury of the Lord. But this is all, like you said, this is not only divine design, this is what God has put on our people, but our enemies, Psalms 83, but our enemies are plotting this as well. All these things are not just accidental. The rap music being pushed in our communities is not accidental. The weed that's flushed in our communities is not accidental. The cocaine that was pushed in our communities in the 80s is not accidental. Crack is not accidental. Do you understand that? Read.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace.
So now, Asaph in Psalm 83 is saying, God, hold not thy peace. Keep not thou silence. I've seen enough in my communities. I've seen enough hurt, enough anger in our communities.
Right.
What happened almost a week ago to this exact date and time? 1:08 p.m. in Jacksonville, Florida, at the Dollar General. What happened? What was his name?
Three or four of our people were shot.
What was his name? Ryan Christopher Palmira. I believe that was his name, or Palmyra.
Tonight, people are remembering the 3 victims of a deadly mass shooting at a store in Jacksonville. Law enforcement says the gunman, who was white, targeted 3 people because they were black. The sheriff identified the victims as 52-year-old Michelle Carr, 19-year-old A.J. Legary, and 29-year-old Gerald Gallion. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office released surveillance video of moments from the deadly shooting. It was a Dollar General store in a predominantly black neighborhood.
Anyone who enters into a store and does this to perfectly innocent people, one doing his job, a couple of customers, is baffling to me. It's very difficult for me to watch.
The sheriff identified the gunman as 21-year-old Ryan Christopher Palmer. Authorities say he was armed with a handgun and an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle.
What did he do? He went in with a tactical vest and an AR-15 to a Dollar General in a predominantly black neighborhood and let the bullets loose. That's what happened.
His plan was to go to the college campus first, but the security...
And he did go to the college campus first. He went to Edward Waters University in Jacksonville, which is a Christian, historically black college university. It's an HBCU. He went there first, but the security guards had their eyes on him, and they escorted him off the campus. They watched him go off the campus. He had a plan of killing dozens of more black people. He had 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 manifestos where he said he hates black people. 3 manifestos where he said he hates black people. Where he said he hates black people. And who did he say as his inspiration? Dylan Roof. You remember Dylan Roof? You remember Dylan Roof? From the shooting at the church in Charleston, South Carolina? That was his inspiration. But all these things happen in our communities. All these terrorists happen in our communities because that's terrorism. Right. The only terrorism isn't those from the men that help from the Middle East. I didn't even know about that. These names go on and on and on and on. Why? Mackay, I need you to pay attention. Why? Because we as blacks and Hispanics are terrorized. You're young right now. The full weight of society and the oppression that blacks and Hispanics are under, it hasn't hit you fully yet. Because you still live with your parents, correct? You're still in high school. But the words that I'm saying now, Mackay, are gonna echo to you in maybe 3 or 4 years. When you start working, when you start going to school and interacting with society on a higher level, you're gonna understand what I'm saying now at a much higher level when that time comes. You understand? Yes. Read that.
Keep the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
Be not still, O God. He's calling for help. He's calling for assistance. He's asking for salvation. Just like us. How many times are we going to have people coming into our communities and shoot us down like we're animals? Right. We just had a shooting last year in Buffalo where the white guy went into the supermarket and killed 8 or 9 black people.
Tonight, authorities say the alleged shooter planned it all. It started around 2:30 Saturday afternoon in the parking lot of this Tops Friendly Market store in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo. The alleged shooter wearing full body armor and tactical gear, targeting people of color.
My sister Catherine Ashley was a great person. Cat didn't hurt anybody. That ain't fair to say. You gonna come to our city and decide you don't like black people. Man, you don't know a damn thing about black people. We're human. We like our kids to go to good schools. We love our kids. We never go in no neighborhoods and take people out. Don't do it.
On Facebook Live. I guess he thought it was a video game. It's a video game to him. Let me see how many niggas I can shoot down, excuse my language. But that was his mindset. That was his mindset. Read. And the guy that shot the 3 people in Jacksonville last week, he also was on TikTok Live putting on his vest and what? Loading up his AR-15. Because it's a game to to our enemies. It's a game to these people to shoot us down. But why is this happening? Because we refuse to keep God's laws. And it's gonna keep happening until we do it. It's gonna keep happening until we return to God's Bible. Until we return to our Bible. Read that.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thy what?
Thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult. A tumult is what? Like a raucous gathering. A fiery gathering of what? Of people. You ever heard of something that's tumultuous? Meaning what? It's loud, there's rumbling, there's a lot of noise, there's confusion, right? So they said they're coming together in their tumult. Meaning what? They're all coming together as one. And they're serious about what they're doing. Read that.
And they that hate thee.
That what?
They that hate thee.
That what?
They that hate thee.
They that hate thee. In case you were wondering, these other nations do not like you.
That's right.
They may eat with you, they may play sports with you, but they do not like you. They never have. Right, they may give you food, they may give you water, they may give you clothing, but the last 500 years of slavery and oppression, I believe that shows otherwise.
Right.
I believe the transatlantic slave trade were over 100 million, not blacks and Hispanics, just 100 million blacks died alone in the voyage from Africa over to here in the Western Hemisphere.
That's right.
100 million. And they all work what? With one consent, which means with one mind. They're all in agreement. The so-called white man, the so-called Arab man, the so-called Chinese man, they're all in agreement. They're all in agreement together. And the Bible talks about that. Read.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have what? Taken what?
Have taken crafty counsel.
What's crafty? Makai, if somebody says, you're being real crafty right now, you know what that means? Yes, crafty, sneaky, deceitful, sly, tricky. That's what crafty means. So our enemies move craftily with us. What do? One example is gentrification. They come into your communities, they buy a property, they hike up the property tax, and slowly but surely they push you out, so they can push you into projects. Why do you think it's called a project? Because it's something that what they're planning, something that they're studying. It's an experiment. Do you understand that? These are things that our enemies do. They have crafty counsel, taking slavery out of the schools, out of the education system. Crafty counsel.
That's right.
Because if you forget about slavery, you forget about who puts you in slavery. Therefore, you forget who your true enemy is.
And you forget about yourself.
And you forget about yourself. And what? You start looking at your brothers as your enemy.
Right.
You start looking at your brothers to envy him, to covet things that he has, to kill him, to steal from him. When you forget about who your true enemy is, it's easy to mold your mind into whatever your enemies want to mold it into.
Right.
It's easy to mold your mind into to hate whoever they want you to hate, to steal whatever they want you to steal, to believe in whatever they want you to believe in. You understand? Read.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones.
Against thy hidden ones. It is hidden, sincere, that what? Blacks and Hispanics are the 12 tribes of Israel.
That's right.
That's hidden, because you didn't know that. Grace was here. She didn't know that. The two men that were standing here before you, they didn't know that. Why? Because like the scripture says, it is hidden. They know it's hidden. That's why they pump rap music in our communities, drugs in our communities, sports in our communities, politics in our communities. Why? 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 To prevent us from uniting.
Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation